Hey, this is Ken at Capital Advantage Tutoring. It's my job to get you past the Series 63, 65, 66 exams and all the Nasaa ones. That is all the Nasaa ones. But this is mostly about the Series 65 and 66. Pretty much not for the 63. If you're looking for the 63 help, get the F off. You're not going to help you here. Okay, so I did this for my Friday night class. Remember, I have these memberships where you can join. It's like 25 bucks a month, and we meet every Friday night for an hour going over the 65 and 66. It's usually 5 to 10 people, good group. Maybe sometimes 15, who knows? Now, a lot of people watch it after the recording, whatever. We went through this thing where they're like, wait, what formulas do I need to know versus should I recognize? So I'm going to do a list of the ones you need to know versus recognize. I'm not going to solve them for you. I have enough videos for that, but I'm going to show you which ones you do have to know and which ones you pretty much just have to recognize. So let's get into it. So let's start with the ones you have to actually calculate. So for the first one, I'm going to say you have to know total return. Total return is definitely one you have to know. Now, what is total return? Total return is your growth plus income divided by original. So again, it's how much you grow. So it's you start with your number, 50 grand, goes up to 60, that's 10 grand. You take that plus or minus whatever income you get and divide it by the original. So again, I'll say total return is your growth plus or minus income. I put equals, I don't want that. Plus or minus income, that's dividends and cash, right? Divided by, that's right, your original cost. So that's what it is. So it's your growth plus or minus income, even if you lose money, right? So if you lose money, you have to count that. So if you buy stock at 30 and goes down to 26, that's a -4. And then whatever dividend affects it, then you divide by the original. Total return is definitely one of them. Current yield is one. Absolutely got to know that. Current yield. I should put capitals in these, but I'm not gonna because I'm lazy. And my daughter and my wife tell me that I am that person who never capitalizes anything. It pisses them off. So current yield, that's my AMP, right? AMP, annual over market price. That's easy stuff. Okay. Rule of 72. What is that? That is just rule of 72 is it's to find when things double, right? So you're either going to do your years divided by 70, the other way around. Sorry about that. 72 divided by the years, and that gives you the rate of return where your money doubles. And I have videos on this. Or you do 72 divided by the rate of return. Sounds familiar. And that gives you the number of years it takes to double your money. Easy stuff. Okay. Now, what are we going to put below this? We got PE ratio. Literally, it's in the fucking formula, right? PE, price over earnings. I'm not even going to go into that. Price divided by market price divided by earnings. That's also called the multiple. Earnings per share. Again, it's in the formula. Earnings divided by the outstanding shares. I'm not writing that out. You should know that. Okay. Current ratio. It's literally, I'll put it to the side so I have room. Current ratio is current assets divided by current liabilities. CL, current assets divided by current liabilities. If you want working capital, it's current assets minus current liabilities. Tips. I have videos on that. I'm not going to do the whole thing, but why not? You add the inflation amount to the par value, and then then what you do is after you get that number, then you just, the coupon stays the same. So you do coupon. I can't do that. Coupon, I can't spell for shit. Coupon times the new par. And that's how much you're going to be paid every year. You might not, that's a less likely. Again, I'm butchering these, but I have videos on all this shit. Okay, now, what else do we have to do? Beta and alpha. Beta and alpha. I'll add the video for this. And just remember, beta is a multiplier. It's super easy. Beta and beta is just a multiplier. I'll put it here. It's just a multiplier. And I'll definitely put the I'll attach the video here because it's too big. Expected return. That's along with the beta. It's expected return. And then we have to do expected return, which is really just the return we want, right? Times the likelihood of it happening. So if we're shooting for, I probably spelled, I bruised that word, but it's like if you're shooting for 10% and there's a 90% chance of it happening, 10 times 90% is 9%. If you're shooting for 15% and there's a 15% of it, you do 15 times 50%, that gives you 7.5%. So that's your expected return. So that's the ones you have to calculate, that you may have to calculate. You're not going to get all of them. You're going to get one or two of them, but those are the ones you probably should know. Now, the other side is what you should recognize. The ones you don't have to do, but you should recognize, right? So present value is like the expected price. You're going to need to know, not the formula, but what's in it. You need to know, you need future value, the rate of return, and it's either going to be the number of periods or that really it's just a number of years. Okay, so to get present value, you need future value, the rate of return in the number of years. How long until it happens? Now, future value, hey, look at that. It's going to be the same. It's going to be present value, rate of return, and the number of years. Sounds familiar. But for future value, you're multiplying. For present value, you're dividing. But again, you will just have to recognize what's in it and not have to do it. Okay, you might have to recognize Sharpe ratio, which is really just understand it. So first of all, present value is what? It's what a future value, before I move on, present value is what you would have to invest now to get to future value. And future value is what an investment now would become at a certain return. So before I move on to the next thing, present value is what you would have to invest now to get to a certain future value given a certain return. Future value is what if you invested something, now I'm just stuttering the shit out of this. Future value is what an investment now will be in the future given a certain return in a number of years. Okay, before I move on, present value is what you have to invest now to get to a future value given a certain return. So if I want a certain future value and I have a rate of return, how much do I have to invest now? That's present value, or the expected price. Now, like now. Future value is what an investment now will be in the future given a certain return in a number of years. Okay. The next thing we need is a Sharpe ratio, and they may just need to know the understanding. The Sharpe ratio is under CAPM, Sharpe ratio, if you want to call it. It's basically, are we getting enough return for the risk we're taking? So it's return minus the risk-free rate, which is literally treasuries, okay? T-bills, okay? So it's really the risk premium over standard deviation. Standard deviation, which is risk. So again, is your return more than the risk you're taking? Okay. DCF, and dividend discount model. It could even be called dividend growth model, but these two are to find, these are the methods to find present value. DCF is for bonds or debt. I'll just say bonds though. And DDM is for stocks, how you get it with stock. Most likely preferred stock, but anything that's a consistent dividend. But if you add in here, DGM, dividend growth model, that's the same thing. You're taking the future dividends and discounting them, but you assume they're growing. So DCF is you're taking all the future values and bringing them back to find present value, which is kind of up top. Dividend discount model and dividend growth model, we're taking all the future dividends of a stock and bringing them back to get a present value or an expected price for the stock or the bond. Dividend growth model assumes that the dividend's growing. Dividend discount model assumes the same. Okay. Internal rate of return, just know that sometimes it's called yield to maturity, but it's the rate of return, where present value is on parity. I'll call it on parity with future value, which means you have a zero NPV. It means it's good to invest in, but it's basically where the future value and the present value, they're not equal, but they're equal on a discounted cash flow basis. And NPV, you should recognize NPV, there's two, right? So NPV is whether it's worth investing or not. If you come up with a present value and you have a positive NPV, that means the market price is lower than present value. You're getting a bargain. If it's a negative NPV, and you should do it, if it's a negative NPV, the market price is higher. I can't spell. Higher than present value, so you probably shouldn't do it. And if you have a zero NPV, then it's the same. So we'll say a zero NPV means that market price is the same as present value. So it's still worth investing, but there's no value. There's no bargain in this. Okay. So again, these are, the left side is what you actually have to do. The right side is kind of, you just have to recognize them. This is for the series 65 and 66. Super quick, super fast. I just wanted to give it because in the class, I did it with my Friday night class. Please join. You can join the membership. It's called Serious Study Group every $25 a month. And we meet 4 times a week. 4 times a week, 4 times a month. I say that every time. Anyway, I hope this helped a little bit. This should absolutely help. Don't forget to join me every Tuesday night on 8:30 p.m. on the Tube of You for my live Q&A shit show. Everyone, y'all have a good night.